I wanted to share with you a poll we recently did, what to find out what is important to the students. And the results came back as student support. The support is very important to the students. They want to feel supported throughout their studies. The second thing that came up was the college accreditation. And I think it is a very South African thing. We want to know that the college is legitimate, the qualifications are legitimate. We had a period where we went through a bit of fly by night. We don't want that again. So I want to be with a legitimate college. And the third thing on the list was the results. Students look for a college with a good pass rate. And the fourth thing on the list was the quality of the material and the tuition. Does this resonate with you, Pilisa? Are you surprised to see what's important to our community?
No, Nikki, I'm not surprised at all. When a student chooses to sign up with the college, they do so specifically because they want someone to help them properly. Often students feel that they can do it on their own and save money. A lot of the students in my class felt this way, but then struggled to pass. They found that the partnering with an expert helped them cut down on their study time, and with the support they have, someone who actively helps them to stay on track and gives them remedial support when they struggle.
And the accreditation is obviously also a concern in South Africa due to the many fly-by-night colleges, like I said. And you don't want to sign up with a college who's closing down and then running away with your money.
And we know that one thing that students really care about is a pass, right?
And did you know we're the only college who consistently publish our pass rates? Whether it's good news or it's bad news, we actually share our results openly. And from an IBTC perspective, it took us 8 years to get to this point where we have a consistent, remarkable pass rate that we are very proud of. We actually stand and fall by our ability to get students to pass first time, because for us, it's a partnership with you. So when you decide in life on a partner, you must know who they are, isn't it? And you must know what they stand for. And when you're partnering with us, for your studies, you're partnering on quite an epic journey. So it's important. I know it sounds a bit whiffy, but it's important to know who we are and what we value. And at IBTC, I can say we're one of the organizations that really live our values. We don't have wall values. We talk about it all the time. We share stories about it. We are really a values-driven organization. And our top value is the value of relationships. So for us, our relationship with you and our relationship with our stakeholders and with our shareholders and with our staff is very important. For us, our relationship with you is personal. We really care, and you are someone to us. The number, not that they are numbered, but we've got 4 values. The top one is relationships. The other one is results. So the one number we track in this business is our pass rates. For us, we call it our true north. When we are in doubt how we should help you, can we give you that extra class? You got the wrong books. How are we doing? Our one true north is, does it give you that pass? And then our other value is remarkable service. We want to blow your hair back. I already saw a post about not being able to get hold of CIMA, and we track every email, every interaction. We want to make sure we are there for you. And then our last value is growth, growing me, growing you, I always say. I like to say, Pilisa, what have you done today to grow me? And what have I done today to grow Nombulelo? So our responsibility to grow each other is really why we're in this game. And ultimately, we believe in shared values, something in it for you and something in it for me. But getting back to the pass rates, Pilisa, how is it, you are a lecturer, you're at the front line, how is it that we get such a remarkable pass rate?
Well, Nick, it boils down to 2 things that we do, I think, differently to anybody else. I think the first one is our BPP partnership. I think that partnership enables us to buy world-class tuition. Where you study a global qualification, you should have global expertise. I think the second one is that we have remarkable service. We're in a remarkable service. We're going to talk about it a lot more later, but we handhold you, right? It's the care and the support.
I think
Nikki, I think on this slide, we should share some of our results with you. So we know that CIMA recommends Kaplan material but we went against the grain. And we're exclusively using BPP material. And that's because we simply get better pass rates with BPP, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
here
go
we
to
compare,
this.
yeah. So we compare global pass rates per subject against
Yes,
the pass rates achieved by all CIMA students who use BPP resources. This includes
okay, sorry, it's global. Sorry, this is global, and this is BPP and IBTC. This includes IBTC students' pass rates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at it traditionally, BA2 and P1 are known as very tricky subjects. If you look at the chart, you'll see, however, that our students perform 20% better on BA2 and P1 than the global average. And you can see why we consider ourselves case study experts. A whopping 92% pass rate in strategic case study or strategic level, and a gap of 10 to 30% better than the global average.
The truth is actually, Pilisa, you are 48%, we like results, we like the numbers. You're 48% more likely to pass with BPP and IBTC. 48% more likely to pass, yeah.
I didn't know that.
So tell me, Pilisa, is CIMA for everyone? There's a lot of people here that said, I think 64% of the audience who asked, who said, I'm still researching it. I'm thinking, is CIMA the place where I want to invest my time and money? You are at the front line. You are a CGMA yourself. Is CIMA for everyone?
Yeah, I think, Nikki, often students are wondering if they should do their honors next or do CIMA or psycho, for instance. They want to be sure that CIMA is the right career choice for them. I think the truth is that CIMA isn't for everybody. Because it combines business and finance. It's more like an MBA and psycho rolled into one. To make the decision generally, we follow a rule that says, if you like tax and auditing, then CIMA may not necessarily be the right choice for you. But if you enjoy business, performance, looking at costs, then it could be the right choice for you. If you think about it, a large part of financial accounting is about looking back. It's about dealing with transactions that occurred in the past. Whereas when you look at management accounting, it's about looking forward. It's about dealing with budget, looking at forecasts, pricing, and future risk and strategy.
It's like Donald said when I spoke to him. He said it's also that it's a professional qualification. You get a designation, CGMA behind your name, versus when you go to university, you get an academic qualification where you are awarded a degree or you get a diploma. So one gives you a designation, the other one gives you a piece of paper. And I feel that a professional qualification offers you more opportunities and actually better value in the long term for your money spent on studying.
True, Nikki. But also, CIMA is a respected and well-known qualification across the globe. So basically, you can work around the world or right here for a global company, for instance. It's a very portable qualification. I think, in fact, 95% of the world's top brands employ CGMA. This means that you'll be immensely employable. Nikki, to sum it up, why I really like CIMA is that CIMA is where business meets finance. It's a finance qualification and it's a business qualification, like a CA with an MBA, which means you are competent in a lot of areas and you can play a multitude of roles. If we move on to the next one.
I must admit, this is my favorite reason, the best reason to do CIMA is because it combines business and it combines finance and you hit that sweet spot. I can't emphasize that enough. So where does this take you?
Yeah. So here's a good example, Nikki, to your point. These are some of the roles you can play as a CGMA. Okay. You see there are some C-suite roles, but also some non-financial roles, even marketing manager and strategic planning manager. And you see the finance roles from an analyst to financial controller. And then, of course, the consulting roles.
Did I ever tell you the story? Sorry to digress, but my previous boss was a CGMA, I don't know, like 30 years ago, when I just started. He was a CGMA and he started as an accountant. Then he became the financial manager in that department. And then I can't remember why, but at some point he took over operations. He took that under his wing too. And when the marketing director went on maternity leave, he said, oh, I will take care of the marketing department for you in that time. Then he moved into marketing and he liked it so much. Then he went into business expansion into Africa. So he went into Africa, went into that side of the business. And then when he returned to South Africa, he came back as the CEO. And that's a full journey throughout the organization on the back of his CGMA designation.
Very impressive, Nikki. That's excellent.
It is, eh?
Yeah.
A lovely story. I think then there's also the salary, Pilisa. I think there was a survey done. Can you chat us through that?
So basically, CIMA conducts annual salary surveys. Obviously, these reveals a CGMA, for example. If you look at the slide, you'll see that in South Africa, a CGMA on average will earn around 884,000 per annum. And I know some students in my E2 class who are earning basically around 35,000 rands per month. And they aren't even, they aren't even fully qualified yet, right?
Okay.
If you look abroad, for those of you that have aspirations of moving abroad in Britain, for example, you'll earn around 63 British pounds a year.
How much is that in rand? How much is in rand?
Well, it depends on where we are in the exchange rate, but it could translate to about 1.2 million. And I think this is according to a real CIMA survey, so quite credible numbers you can look at, and obviously some good salaries to look out for, Nikki.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for taking us through that. Let me see. I think it is time to take a closer look at the CIMA syllabus so that we can explain why these things we say about the qualification is true. So there's a couple of things I just want to start with to say the CIMA certificate is the entry route to the professional qualification. So this is the entry route, and then this portion is then typically referred to as the professional qualification. The certificate level is an open entry, so anybody can, there's no entry requirement for the certificate level. The professional qualification consists of 3 levels, 1, 2, 3, and 3 pillars. And I can't write there we go, and 3 pillars. The E pillar is the enterprise pillar, which is the business pillar, and the performance pillar is the heart of the qualification, where we deal with cost management, and then the F pillar is the finance pillar, where we deal with classic accounting. What I love about this structure, you can see it is so cleverly put together that at every level you get a qualification. You can see how business meets finance. The enterprise pillar, just very quickly, looks at business models, management of people and projects. And in the E pillar is where business strategy is formulated. And then in the P pillar is where you use your management, accounting, and risk management. You can see there's a lot of emphasis on risk there, very important, as Pilisa said. To ensure that the strategy that has been developed in E is realistic, and it's here where you learn how to monitor its implementation. Here you deal with costs, budgets, pricing, capital expenditure, managing business performance, and here you develop the skill. Ultimately, it all leads up to developing the skill to progressively identify risk, classify the risk, evaluate it, and learn how to manage that risk. Okay, and then you get to, this already sounds interesting. The finance pillar, the F pillar, focuses on the financial accounting and reporting obligations of the organization. A lot of people are very familiar with that. It includes regulatory framework and external reporting requirements, the ability to construct and evaluate complex financial statements to show the financial positions and performance of the organization. Here you also deal with things like business tax or the tax implication of financing decisions. And here, really, you assess the risks that you have identified in the P pillar, in the performance pillar. Because the 64% is quite newish, I want to ask Pilisa to very quickly just talk us through each of the subjects.
Okay, well, Nikki, I guess you had to ask the lecturer, right?
Yes. Yes.
We'll start at the certificate level, right at the bottom. So you have BA1 to BA4. At BA1, you'll basically learn about macro and microeconomics. If you look at BA2, that's really introduction to costing. Look at planning and control. basically your introduction to management accounting. At
Oh,
BA3,
yes, this feeds into P1, hey?
yeah. It's very important, that subject,
Oh.
actually. At BA3, we start with basic recording of financial transactions, so your journal entries, preparing accounts, analyzing financial statements. BA4 is really around the admin side of the company, things like CSI, looking at legal aspects of the organization. Governance is probably quite topical at the moment. Once you
It's like
pass
the
all,
basis of everything, eh? Is that ethics and corporate governance.
yeah,
Very cleverly using design to communicate that.
true. Once you pass all these subjects, you get certificate in business accounting, which is equivalent to an NQF level 5. Most South Africans prefer to know that NQF level, because obviously, if you ever want to move into a different direction, at least you know that the certificate is NQF level 5. Then you move on to the professional level, which is basically E1, P1, F1, and then the case study. So if you look at E1, that really covers big data, traditional business functions like sales, marketing, and HR. P1, again, feeds off BA2. Here you really get into it, right? So you start dealing with manufacturing, topics like marginal costing, absorption costing, budgets, and pricing. Then if you look at the F1 subject, you start to deal with cash flow, how to manage working capital, tax implications, and then obviously you start preparing financial statements. Once you pass all 3 subjects, you are then allowed to write an operational case study, which draws on the knowledge from your E, your P, and your F pillar in terms of the subjects at that level. Once you're done, you'll get your CIMA diploma. Okay, and then you move up the ladder to management level. You got E2, P2, and F2. Quite briefly, E2 is basically looking at business models, introduces project management and managing people. P2 is around managing costs, activity-based management, just in time, looking at key performance indicators and those type of things. At F2, probably my favorite, is where you actually start to deal with group accounts, right? Integration of financial statements, yeah, can throw a lot of people off, but
Yes.
quite interesting. Yeah, so it's basically integrated reporting. We talked about it a bit earlier. So ESG is very important these days. So environmental governance and social aspects. Yeah. Once you pass E2, P2, and F2, you'll do your management case study exam, which again draws on your knowledge in terms of E, P, and F subjects in that level. Then you get your CIMA Advanced Diploma. You can start using those designated letters at the end of your name. So Pilisa Matyholo CIMA Advanced Diploma in Management Accounting. And finally, at strategic level, you start thinking like a CFO. We spoke about the C-suite roles earlier on in our presentation. You look at E3, F3, and P3 here, and obviously the strategic case study. In E3, you basically cover models, business models, really like PESTEL, SWOT analysis. You look at product and market
That's
metrics.
my favorite. I'll heart it.
You look at the purpose. So what is the purpose of the business? What is the vision, value chain analysis, and so forth. P3, you look at risk, how to manage risk for organizations. So models like risk mapping, risk control, cyber risk, strategic risks, and things like hedging. At F3, you start look at basically how to fund business, right? So the combination of debt and equity, how to take business to the next level. You look at sources of long-term finance. You deal with measures and acquisitions. Once you pass these 3 subjects, E3, P3, and F3, you'll then be allowed into your strategic case study, the last case study exam. On completion of that case study, then your academic component of your studies is basically done, and you need to complete the proof of practical experience, or PER, which we'll touch on a bit later. Once you complete that, then you're awarded your CGMA designation. So quite a journey, hey, Nikki?
Yeah, totally. Now tell me, we're not going to touch on PER, are we? I don't know. Maybe we do. Let's see where this takes us. But there's also PER is such a hot topic, and usually we have separate sessions for it. And it might be that in a month or so, you can look, if you, I don't know, what do they say? Like us, follow us, and you can look out for our communication around those sessions. We'll explain how the whole PER thing works. What did I want to ask? Oh, I wanted to ask you, Pilisa, which one is your nemesis? Which one I know which one you love, which subject? Oh, I sometimes feel every student struggles with at least one subject along the way, and they get so stuck on it. But then we help them get unstuck. And then often somebody said to me, sometimes the subject that you like the least and you get stuck the most on, you end up working on so hard that often that becomes your field of specialization. But nonetheless, what was your nemesis?
Yeah.
If you had one, maybe you flew through it.
So to answer that, Nikki, I think, accountants have basically two minds. You got those that are purely numbers driven. So they like
numbers,
the F and the P. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you got those are sit in that space. And then you got those that hate writing reports. So E3 was probably my worst, P3, sorry, was my worst nightmare with risk management, risk reports that are battle with, right? Yeah, because it covers every potential risk a business could actually be faced with. Yeah. So flooding and all those kind of things.
Yes. And tell me, do you feel, sometimes I feel, I don't know if it's a valid comment, that people are really good in F, sometimes struggle to get their head around E and the business side. And when people who really, I love the E pillar, but I strongly dislike the F pillar. Do you find that's quite common or not so much?
It is quite common. You know, the rules-based type of people, like compliance, report writing, strict.
Yes.
So those guys will exactly just like me. yeah.
Okay, so luckily there's something like cost management accounting for people who love finance but also enjoy business.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of you will want to know where to start, and it's a little bit tricky now. I think there's a lot of confusion out there, and I love simplifying complex information, so we've decided to make that a topic for today. There are now two routes you can follow to obtain your CGMA. So CGMA is the goal which we're working towards, and there are two routes. The one that I'm going to discuss first is the standard or the traditional, or the one that's been around all along, and then I'm going to talk about FLP, which is the new route. So just very quickly, I'm going to unpack each of them, but just as a heads up, professional qualification is the standard one. Anybody can take the professional qualification route. It's where you start at certificate level, or you can just apply for exemptions. You've got those 3 subjects exams, a E, a P, and an F exam, and then you've got your case study exam. We refer to those 3 subjects exam. When you write the exam for E, P, or F, then you write an objective test. OT. So we often refer to them just like an OT subject. So when I say OT subject, I really mean an EP or an F subject. Here you can study on your own, you can beg and borrow for a book, you can study with any tuition provider, and you can follow any study method. Okay, FLP is new. For FLP to take this route to CGMA, you need to have a degree, you need to, or have completed the certificate level. Otherwise, if you have something else, you must apply for exemptions, and they will then see if you can start at the professional level. So you will start at either Opsman or Strat level. Usually people start at the operations level. The kicker is you only do the case study exams. The other kicker is you must do it through a tuition provider like IBTC, and IBTC then gives you access to the online CIMA study portal. So you must do your studies on that portal with a tuition provider if you want to take this FLP route. Okay, that's the long and the short of it. Let me get into it a little more. Let me just see if I can grab my mouse. Okay, so I'm going to start with the professional qualification route. We spoke about the levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and at each level you can see that there are 4 exams, BA1 to BA4, or E1, P1, F1 exam, and operational case study exam. So there are 4 exams. Entry point on this route, as I said, everybody starts at certificate level unless you get exemptions. I can give you some examples of exemptions just so that you know how it works. If you have an ICB qualification, you will be exempted from the certificate level, and you start over here. Oh, sorry, I'm very messy. With ICB, you start with E, P, and F, and you continue. With an MBA, or for example, what's a good example? A diploma in accountancy from UJ. A lot of people have that. You will start, you can skip EP and F exams and you can start over here. So this is MBA and a diploma in accountancy from UJ. If you've got typically, we've got a lot of students who come in with a BCom, a BComT, a BTech, bachelor's in finance. You get exempted from the whole ops level and you start at the management level at the OTs, so EP and F. If you've got a BCom honors or a postgrad qualification in finance, you get exempted up to here and you can start at the management case study level. Okay, so that is if you apply for exemptions or what we say advanced entry point with a qualification. Okay, I'm just going to change my color. Okay, there's another way to get to apply for exemption or advanced placement, and that is through membership. Okay, if you are a CIPA member, you may apply for the gateway route, which means you will start, ignore that, you will start at management case study level. Oh, it's very messy. Okay, with CIPA. CIPA, you start at management case study. With CICA, you start a strategic case study. You only do the very last exam. With the CIBA, so sorry, I've got CIPA, CICA, and with CIBA. With CIBA, they need to evaluate what you have to determine where exactly are you going to start. So that's on a case-by-case basis. Okay, I know this gets very messy. I'm pretty sure you can all follow me. Okay, and then the last way to, the one was with the qualification, the other one was with membership, and this one is with experience, and they also refer to that as RPL. So when you have a lot of experience and you want to use that to get your advanced entry route, you will approach CIMA for recognition of your years of experience, not your qualification. So, okay, I'm going to, I don't know if you can make any sense of this. Okay, let me, no, okay. Okay, with 10 years or more experience at a strategic level or an executive financial level or 10 years or more business experience, they will consider that you start at the strategic case study level. Okay, this happens to be called the CFO route, but it's not just for CFO, it's just the name of the route. They've never been really good at naming. Okay. If you've got 7 years or more senior management experience, they say, okay, you know what you do? You only have to do the strategic case study and the management case study. That's for 7 years. Okay, that's called the CSEP route for some reason unbeknownst to me. Then we have 5 years and more management experience. They're saying, okay, you know what? You can start at management case study. And if you've got 6 years or more finance and accounting experience, they call that the CPP route. You can then start at operations case study. And I will be totally impressed if somebody's taking a screenshot of this and thinking this makes total sense to me. Okay. Study options on this PQ route. As mentioned, you can study on your own, you can study with a college. CIMA recommends that you sign up with a tuition provider. We recommend that at least in the beginning you sign up with a tuition provider because of all our experience and we know what the examiner is like, and it costs money to fail, to get it just wrong. And a professional qualification is very different from an academic qualification. So the first time you're going to tackle E, P, and F, and you just in your last qualification you got was your BCom, it's going to be a major adjustment. So for that, I would typically want to be in a class. And once you get the hang of it, you can then consider if you want to do it on your own or not. But typically why people join a tuition provider is we cut down on your study time and we increase your chances of passing first time because we've done it before. Okay, let me just see. Do you just wanted to, Pilisa? I know you usually have a bee in your bonnet about this. Wait, I'm going to draw it. So at some point, Pilisa said, when you study, you do your EOT exam, your POT exam, your FOT exam. After that, you do your case study. Your case study draws on your EP and F. And when we talk about exemptions, there's usually a word of warning going around. Pilisa, did you want to chat us through that?
Yeah. So, Nikki, it's a very important decision to study this CIMA qualification, and I think to elaborate on this. So, if CIMA does offer you exemptions, or if you have been exempted from a subject, the assumption is that your knowledge is good enough to have passed that subject, and that you understand the content in the way that CIMA has presented it. So, before you accept all your exemptions, our advice is to go through the syllabus document, which is published. I'll share that link later, and highlight areas that you don't feel comfortable with, right? If it's more than 40 to 50%, we would suggest that you don't take the exemptions, or take the exemptions, but ensure that you spend sufficient time recapping that subject. Also, your case study exam requires thorough knowledge of the E, P, and F subject in that level, so whether operational, managerial, or strategic. So you need to make sure that there are no knowledge gaps. And to do that, we recommend that you recap these subjects before starting your case study preparation. Our gateway courses are designed for students who are exempted from E, P, and F. However, we include E, P, and F textbooks to help you with this. This is, of course, also very true for FLP. Nikki, can you take a closer look at this route?
I can talk about FLP, but this is so important. If you are exempted or you start up to a case study, please talk to us first. It is very critical, but there's a very simple formula, really totally just 100 hours or whatever. We'll just tell you where to get started. You cannot skip EP and F, even if you've done those books at varsity, even if you know all the content, just chat to us. You don't have to sign up for anything, just chat to us about how to approach your case study if you've been exempted up to a case study. Okay, so usually I do these things. Every Thursday we have a free open to anybody speak to a session, and everybody's just hanging in there to hear about FLP. Tell me about FLP. What is it? So you have heard the good news, and that FLP is the new route where you only need to do 3 exams, and that sounds totally appealing, doesn't it? It's recently been introduced by CIMA, as I said, and the most prominent feature is you only need to do the case study exam, so no more OTs, but you still have to complete all the competencies for the subjects online or on their portal. So you go onto the portal, all the content is here on that portal, and you still start with your one subject. You still have to study, answer some questions, study, do a little test, study, do a little test. And as you have completed everything for this, it ticks off and you can move on to the next one, and you study, you answer questions. So it's what they would call continuous assessment or integrated assessment, if you like. And once you have done all 3 of these, you study, you do questions, you study, you do questions, you read, you study, you read, you study. And then you can go and your case study becomes available to you. I just want to talk about entry level. So let me just see if I can clear all of this. Just grab a pen. Okay, so you can see you either enter, because you've got a CIMA certificate already, then you can move on to the FLP, or you can enter at operations level. So you enter at operations level if you have a bachelor's, a degree in business, or you have an IFAC certificate, then you start there. If you have a bachelor's in finance or accounting, so literally any degree with the word finance in it or accounting in it, or you're a CIMA member, or you have an IFAC diploma, you will then start at management level. If you are a CIMA member or you're an ACCA member, you can start at strategic level. If you are an existing student and you've already done the E1 exam, for instance, already done it, when the time you enter this FLP world, the subject will be indicated as done already. So whatever you've achieved in the PQ world will be transitioning into the FLP world. Okay. So in terms of registration, we will chat about it just now. study options for FLP. Somebody asked, where do you start if you have CTA? I just want to say that, Vanessa, we have a support team here who's in the chat and answering you. We're probably one of the first countries and organizations in the world that has introduced FLP. The reason for that is that CIMA had it ready, but they couldn't roll it out because of Competition Commission. We could roll it out in South Africa, and we went through all the teething problems, and we've learned so much about it. So literally there's nobody who knows more about FLP. CIMA asks us. CIMA South Africa asks us how things work, because we work quite closely with CIMA in the UK and the USA about exemptions and how things work. Nobody knows more about FLP and FLP exemptions than Vanessa. So you can call her in the morning or see if you can get hold of her on the chat now, or email us and we can deal with everybody on Monday. Okay, so study options for FLP, it's online on the CIMA FLP portal, as I said. You cannot study using your own textbooks anymore. You have to sign up with a tuition provider like IBTC and then complete your OT assessment on the platform, as I said, by doing these activities. So as I explained earlier, you go here, and by doing these activities, you are demonstrating your competency. And once you've demonstrated all the required competencies on E, P, and F, you can then move on to your prepping for your case study. You will then write the same case study exam as the PQ student. Everybody comes together at the case study exam. Okay. I don't know if this is going to come up later, but I just want to say, Pilisa, in terms of what you just alerted us to, oh wait, let me do the clear all drawings. The problem with, not the problem with FLP, just something, what did you say? The warning lights come on. If you don't do an OT exam for E1, P1, and F1, you might not have gone through the rigor to be fully prepared for the case study. And that for me is the caveat or the thing to watch out for in FLP. Okay, I'm going to talk about how to register on each of these routes. Okay, for professional qualification, all first-time students must register with CIMA. You go to cimaglobal.com, you register, you pay an online once-off registration fee, you get your CIMA contact ID, it's a contact ID, your CIMA number for life, and once you've made payment, they'll say, do you want to apply for exemptions? And once you've registered, you can also access your online profile for my CIMA, you can see everything there, you can enter for your exams there and everything. If you need help with that exemption process, you can chat to us. You must email your exemption. If they say, do you want to apply for exemptions? You say yes, you email your transcripts and your qualification certificate to documents@cimaglobal.com, and CIMA will start their exemption. They only start looking at your exemptions once you've paid your registration fee.
Okay, that sounds a bit technical.
I know this, it is a little bit technical, that whole application process, and we've then decided we will just help students. It's an area where most students struggle. They also struggle a lot with their subject choices in the beginning. How many subjects? But we will touch, we've got some nice tips in the end on that, or illustration of how to approach your subjects. But we offer a CIMA Assist service where we just say, what was that first comment I got? I'm phoning CIMA, I can't get hold of them. We have a CIMA Assist service. We have a desk where you can talk to us. We will sort out everything with CIMA, your exemptions, your registrations, your questions, if it's FLP, if it's PQ, if anything. Just email us at info@ibtc.co.za and ask for CIMA Assist. Okay, somebody might also put a link in the chat.
Yep.
So that is how
for FLP, Nikki?
How it works for FLP. Good question. You will be happy to know that they've streamlined it a lot for FLP. What's very interesting is that you can tell them what qualifications you have, and they don't need to see the proof. You can just say, I've got a BCom in, I don't know, accounting. They say, great, you start at management level. But what is interesting, remember that curriculum, the structure that we showed, it rests on a bed of ethics, I always say. So a CIMA qualification rests on a bed of ethics, and you can say what qualification you have, and then they'll start auditing here and there, and they say, you said you have a BCom finance from university, from WITS or whatever, and then you have to prove it. And if you can't prove it because you lied, then they kick you out and you can never do CIMA ever again. So how interesting is that? So they've streamlined for FLP, they've streamlined the registration and the exemption process significantly. Simply get hold of a good tuition provider. We'll sign you up on FLP and we will sort out your exemptions, tell you where to start, and no need to submit any documents. And Bob's your uncle, ready to get started. Lisa, the big question for the day is, which do you prefer, FLP or professional qualification, the traditional route?
Depends on which one sounds more professional, Nick. Is it PQ or FLP? I'm kidding. Just to go back to it, right? So what I like about the FLP route is that there are fewer exams, right? And it looks like you'll be qualified a lot faster. But what I like about the traditional route is that there's more rigor. You spoke about it earlier. I think you're doing this qualification to pick up skills, to be a better accountant, to learn more and work better. With the PQ route, I believe you learn more and your work performance will be a lot better.
Yeah, I always say you study because you want more tools in your tool belt. And if you engage with the CIMA content and you engage with the subject, and you write the exams, you really grow your skills and ability. You've got more tools in your tool belt. So at PQ and at FLP, at each route, there are pressure points. I think with FLP, the pressure point, as I said, is the case study exams, because of the risk of not being familiar enough with the OT subjects as one needs to be.
Yep.
What's the risk at PQ?
I think with the traditional route or the PQ route, the case study exam should be a lot easier for you. So that's a big plus. But the pressure points are that you need to go through those objective tests or those assessments, E1, P1, which you need to pass first, for example.
It's a personal decision in the end to decide what's best for you, right?
Yeah, that's right, Nikki. And I think a financial decision, of course. I think PQ is a lot lighter on the pocket.
Yeah, that's right. It's lighter on the pocket. You can also take it piecemeal.
Yeah.
You can take 1 or 2 subjects at a time, pass that, then get another one. And as you go through the qualification, you probably get promoted. Okay. Yolisa, I do see your hand. I am going to open up for answers just now. I always think maybe you ask something that I'm going to cover. Okay, so I just want to quickly show you ways to study with IBTC. They're quite standard ways. Look out for the subtle differences between what other colleges offer. But our approach to professional qualifications is that our flagship product is our virtual classes. And our virtual classes is very similar to what you're attending now. It would be a class with Pilisa, or a class with Nikki Maritz, or a class with Muzi, Tinashe. It's live streaming Zoom. It's weeknights or on Saturday. You come to 1 class a week. It starts now in February, takes you up to May. And you sit an exam. And then the next semester 2 is July to September. There's a lecturer. It includes all your books. It includes online question practice. You practice. It's very important to us. You practice questions on the portal on which you will do exams, so that you can also learn how that portal works. And the bee's knees is probably that IBTC uses BPP because we simply just get a better pass rate with it. And BPP is made available to us exclusively in South Africa, their lecture videos. So they are a huge organization. They take their best lecturer with the most consistent pass rate, and they record his or her classes. And you get access to that. So you can be in a class with Pilisa, and you can watch the video recordings of certain topics. The whole thing is 100% syllabus coverage. Like you're sitting in a class in the UK and you're sitting in a class in South Africa. And there's also shorter video recordings on that platform for those 2 weeks just before the exam.
Yeah. And if you attend our virtual classes, Nikki, you will be in class once a week with your lecturer. For about 10 to 12 weeks. But I think apart from attending those classes, you can also watch the UK lecturer on the same topic
Yeah.
like you explained. So for me,
Mm.
that's basically 2 classes for the price of 1, I'd say. Yeah.
So you're an accountant. Then I'm going to just switch over to Home Study Plus. So what is Home Study Plus? We used to have Home Study where we would send students the books, we would send them a nice study guide, and we would make available a tutor to you and a course coordinator, if you like, somebody that checks up on you, a handholder, and moves you along. And then we thought, wait a minute, why don't we also give these students access to the BBP video lectures? And that is how Home Study Plus was born. You will be exam ready in 8 to 10 weeks. It has a pass guarantee. If you follow the steps, you are very likely to pass. And if you fail, you can come back for free.
It's actually true for all of our products, Nikki. So if you basically need to come back, we'll accommodate you, yeah?
Yes, yes. Oh, I see. I forgot about online courses. We also have an online course. The online course, what is the online course? It is run by BPP. It's a UK lecture, and then we pull people in from all over the world. You'll be in class with people maybe from Australia, from China, UK, USA, and then there's a start date. And on that date is the date the lecturer joins and when your program starts. And your lecturer will then say, study this week, submit something on Sunday, study this week, submit something on Sunday. You also watch those same video lectures, and it is just driven by this tutor or this lecturer on a set schedule. And this is, you will be ready in about 8 weeks. You'll be ready to sit your exam. It is also part of our pass guarantee. And also, if you fail, you can come back for free. So these are our study methods for professional qualification. So next I'm going to look at our study methods for FLP. This is a little bit easier. We've got standard and we have got premium. I just wanted to explain, I think I need a little bit of a drawy thing, pencil. Okay, so I always say, because it reminds us of our storeroom, but I realize I'm potentially a different generation, so I should just use the word platform. So I imagine we've got a storeroom, and in here we've got all the books for all the subjects, EPF for ops level, for man level, for strat level, all the case study prep work, everything. There's a table in here. Oh, I can't draw a table. There's a table, and on that table there are coins. There are 6 exam tokens on the table. There's case study prep material. Everything is in this room, and you buy access to this room. You buy time in that room, and when you're in that room, boy, you can work it. You can go through E, you can go through P, you can go through F. When you're ready, you can start prepping for the case study. You can do the case study. Soon as you're done with the case study, before you even get your results, you can start studying your next E and your next P and your next F. And you can use these tokens to set your exam, and when your time is up, you're kicked out of the room. Okay, so you have to be in the room to be able to write the exam. Let me just check. I get so excited. I just want to check if I mentioned everything. So on the FLP platform, you'll find all your study material and questions for all the OT subject and case study. You've got access to all the business simulations for all the FLP stuff and all the case study exam resources. Everything is in your room. You get access to the platform for the duration of your subscription, which is 1, 2, or 3 years. 2 is very popular amongst the students. Most students take 2 years. It includes your registration and your exam fees for all your exams, hence the tokens. You get 2 exam tokens for operations case study, 1 to sit the exam and 1 to rewrite. 2 exam tokens for management case study, 1 to sit the exam, 1 to rewrite. 2 exam tokens for strategic case study, 1 to sit the exam, 1 to rewrite. You also get an IBTC study buddy or a handholder to help you progress. There's an IBTC FLP WhatsApp group. Everybody's on there. The community helps each other. And if you take FLP Premium, we add in 6 tokens for our case study exam prep course. our case study exam prep classes. So with our classes, I don't know, who would know what was our latest pass rate? I feel like it was 87% and 92%. And I just saw such big numbers came through for our case study November results. We are truly the case study experts. And if anything, come to our case study virtual classes. So this was such a big demand that people said, I'm on FLP, but I'm struggling a little bit on my own. And when I get to the case study, I just can't pass. And I've only got 2 tokens. And they asked us, can I please just join your case study prep classes? It's over 2 Saturdays, over 2 weekends, Saturday, Sunday. And that preps you for the exam like it's anybody's business. Like it preps you very well for the exam. Okay, I quickly want to do the, I know it's a long presentation, but this next session is just about how to plan your studies. And I think it's the part that you might find most helpful. So I'm just going to start with FLP. Just get there, hang on. Okay, and grab a writing tool. Okay. So as I said, most students buy the 2-year subscription. You should be able to complete 3 levels in 2 years. So I can show you how. This is a little bit of an illustration. If you were to start, okay, so this is 1 year. Let me just move this out of the way. You can see it is January. Is this? Oh, no, sorry. January to, this is February. January. This is a year, January to December. Okay, if you were to start now, your first case study opportunity will be in February, but unless you've already done your OTs, it's too soon for most of you. Still need to do EP and F. So you'll just ignore that and you will start doing E, and then you'll do P, and then you will do F. So I did a lot of analysis to see how long should EP and F take you on the FLP platform. They say it's about 75 hours. I've worked out it's about studying 2 hours every night. I typically didn't study I studied Monday to Thursday, and then I don't touch me on my weekend. So if you do that, you should get to about 75 hours in a month. That will take you through E, then P, and then F. And then you look and see what is my case study that is closest to me. And then you will do your operations case study. Immediately after that, you can start. You don't have to wait for your results because you're in that room. You want to do E2, P2, F2, and see what's the closest case study to me. You see August, you join our case study prep classes and you do August exam. And now you can see you've actually got, what is this, 6 months. You've got 6 months to spare in your 1 year model. So you can do 2 levels in 1 year. Now, if this is a little bit fast, that's fine. You can also do, let's just do this and then get back here. So here you do your May exam. You're like, oh, that's fantastic. I'm going to take June off. Then you do E here and you do P here and you do F here. And you say, what is my closest case study? Your closest case study is November. So here you join our case study prep classes. You pass in November and then you've successfully done 2 levels in a year and not at too much of a rush. You can also squeeze in 3 levels if you can. You can do the May case study, the August case study, and the November case study, but it's not for everybody to do that. Let me see. We also suggest that you maximize your exam opportunity. So that just means, it just means really talk to us before you do anything. Because if you register in February, and imagine this is a whole year, and you sign up for 1 year or 2 year, and you get here and you're like, oh, I want to do this February case study, but actually your subscription expired in January. Like, but what? Why didn't anybody help me? I am now, because of the start date of my subscription that I chose, I now cheated myself out of that exam, which is just out of reach for my subscription period. So talk to Vanessa. We will help you with your start date, or Vanessa and her team, really. We'll help you with your selecting a start date and a period. Okay, so let's see, the best dates to start really is in December and in March, around about this period. So I would sort myself out in January, February, and for a good, you can start, we will sign you up then for a start date in March, or last week in February. Okay, just a couple of questions. Can I complete 2 levels on a 1-year subscription, and how would I do that? Yes, you can. I have illustrated that. Can I do more than 1 level and case study per year on the FLP program? Yes, I've also just illustrated that. Can I do more than 1 level and case study? Oh, that's the same question. Okay. Okay, so this is how to plan your study. Oh, I see we have a special here. Sign up with IBTC and we give you 5 extra weeks free on your subscription. 5 extra weeks. Okay, that literally means that you don't have to start in March. You can actually start in February. Very good start time. You can start in February and then we give you, change my color, and we give you 5 extra weeks. Isn't that fantastic? Okay, so that makes February a good time to start. Great, thank you for that, IBTC. That is then how to plan your studies for FLP, and I also just want to do how to plan your studies for PQ. Personally, I love FLP. I think it is great that you can move faster and study less. I love the rigor of the professional qualification. Rigor sounds like a lot of hard work, but you are here not for the end goal. You are here to, on this journey, learn things. So there's also the benefit of, you can just to start small. You don't have to pay a big lump sum amount to gain access to that room. You can just get started. What do they say? Micro actions towards a big goal. So while I'm explaining how to plan your FLP studies, let me quickly touch upon how to plan your studies for PQ. You have to start, say in this example, you choose to start with E1 and P1. This is also the illustration I used to say, never do more than 2 subjects in a year unless you've spoken to us first and we can check. And unless you're really sure that you want to. Okay, so in this example, I've put your E1 and your P1 class both on a Saturday just to make it a little bit easier. So I always say never walk into a class cold. So the session before your class on a Saturday, you will want to prep for that class. So you prep for that class. Even if you just page through the book, see what it is about, you don't even need to pick up a pencil, just get your head around it so that when you get to class, you can engage more. Then that session after class, your next study session, you will then consolidate what you have done in class. Your next session, you prep again. Sometimes it's like 3 chapters in a night. So you will want to go through that chapter so that when you get to that class, boy, you are on it. You are the most prepared out of anybody who walks into that class. You don't walk into a class, you log into that class. So this is how you would approach your studies. This way you will do 7.5 hours a week. And after 12 weeks, you would have knocked 90 hours into your studies for that one subject. Now, P1, the textbook is simply just fatter. And there's just a little bit more content to get through. So I would typically say, I'll come to class. This is my prep class. I'll prep for it. I'll come to class on a Saturday. I put in an extra 2 hours on a Sunday just to consolidate and to study. And this is my prep class again. So this is an illustration that I like to do to say, where are you going to fit in your 3rd subject? Our hearts are for you. We just want to make sure that you pass. So this is to say that enough with the preaching. It's a rookie mistake to start off with too many subjects. You'll take 3, you'll fail 3. You take 2, you'll pass 2. Okay, so let me just see, have I said everything that I wanted to say? You can see how tricky it is to do 3 subjects. I'm not saying it can't be done. Many students with IBTC have successfully done 3 subjects at once. It's just knowing what you're in for and being able to make that commitment. Pilisa, you've had an 88% pass rate in the November case study exam. Just tell me, how should students prepare for the case study exam?
Nikki, I'm still looking for that one student to give him a bit of a hiding eye that got us at 88, because if it wasn't for that one student, it would have been 100%, right?
Get out of town, really? Oh, wow. He's hiding for you.
To answer your question, it doesn't matter if you're doing the PQ or the FLP route, right? It really all comes together in the case study exam. So whether you've taken N2 or N3 to get to Joburg, ultimately we all get to Joburg. So it all comes together in the case study. So I strongly recommend that you always try to attend our case study exam prep classes. I do the operational case study, but my colleagues do the other levels. So IBTC is well known for pass rates in the case study levels. I'm sure you've seen the numbers earlier on as well. So we recommend about 100 hours to prepare for your case study exam. This is, of course, dependent on how familiar you are with the content in terms of E, P, and F, right? For gateway students who have gotten exemptions, haven't been exposed to the E and the P and the F subject, you may want to put more time aside and focus obviously on the content. Let's say you've completed P or your E or P and E and F subjects in the last 12 to 18 months, or your OTs, right? We just call them OTs for the sake of that. It'll come back quite quickly. Why? Because it's still fresh in your memory. So you've just passed an E1 or you've just passed a P1 and so forth. Then you'll probably need a lot less than the 100 hours that's the recommended time by CIMA, right? In terms of recapping the concepts and knowledge and preparing for your case study. For example, in terms of operational case study, you still need to know the content in detail, right? So at least up to 65% of your case study exam at operational case study level draws on your technical ability. That number narrows a little bit down as you move up the hierarchy. So at strategic level, it's more about critical thinking rather than recapping a model from your E1, right? So as you move up to management level and strategic level, there'll be more focus on business skills, your technical skills, and one may use a model or part of it to basically frame your answer. So you just use the content just as a framework for your answer, but without having to refer to the actual model. So things like PESTEL and SWOT analysis, and you will know. So for your case study exam, there's no new content to learn. So you're not going to find a new, not going to get a new book or anything like that. It's all part of the content that you would have covered. So in our case study exam prep classes, is covered in a number of weeks. So as Nikki has said, so in week 1 and 2, that's where we'll revise the E, the P, and the F subjects, ensuring that there are no knowledge gaps. Then you look at the pre-scene, which is the case study that you're provided, normally a 30-page document that just kind of gets you ready for the exam. So you need to read through the pre-scene in quite a bit of detail in preparation for obviously your first set of classes. Then in week 3 and week 5, for these 2 weekends, you can come to our classes, read through the pre-scene as preparation for that, again, line by line, underlining, making notes, just to make sure that you're comfortable with the content. Okay, make use of the models like your Mendelow's metrics and all of that to understand who the stakeholders are, what's the business model, and so forth, right? We also provide you with mock exams, normally 2 mock exams where they are marked individually. So you get individual feedback, not just a score. You get told this is what you need to improve on, this is what you can do better. And normally, and I like to brag about this, and we just got the #1 spot in terms of CIMA Africa on case study. In my OCS class, I think it was in November 21 sitting. So there's a record for you
November
guys.
21, 22.
Yeah, 21, Nikki. Yeah.
Did you just hear?
I don't think they did.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Cool. So in week 4 and 6, just to
yeah.
wrap it up, so these are the
Yeah.
2 weekends that are spent on question practice. For your case study exam, question practice is probably the most important element of it, right? You'll revise, but I mean, you never know how much you know until you put to the test. So those question practice and the mock exams is basically where you're filling any knowledge gaps that were exposed in class and during your final mock exam. And that's really how we do it, Nikki. Yeah?
Fantastic. I like to say, shame, I'll draw, what? Yeah. How does it work? Can you see my screen? I like to say, and I don't know if this scares anybody off, but I know it, and I don't know if you do it, but I think in that first week, we break you down and you're like, oh my head, no, I know there's so many gaps and I don't know, and I feel unsure and I need to go study. And then you use this week 4 to go and fill all those gaps and then you come back to week 5 and we build you up again. And boy, by that time you build up, then we get these good pass rates. So I love this explanation. Thanks for this, Pilisa. This also just underlines again how important the EP and F content is, that you have to spend decent time on it. So even if you're if you are, again, I sound like a stuck record, if you've been exempted up to a case study, you can see you cannot just start over here. You cannot just do this portion. You have to go back and just recap your EP and F. And we have got a gateway product that does exactly that. Okay, so how to finance your study. We have 2 financing options here. You can either take finance plan through IBTC. We've got, I think it's on our tuition portion, say it's 20% over 4 months. But if you pay your CIMA fees through us, which is more expensive than doing it yourself, then that portion is just a bulk in your deposit. You pay to us, we pay it directly over to CIMA. It's available for all the IBTC courses except for FLP, because it's quite a hefty fee, and not for third-party fees as well. That's bulk payment, we pay it over. If you wanted to study with IBTC and get an external loan, if you like, we have partnered with Smart Funder. It's South Africa's top finance provider. They offer flexible payment terms. It's a very easy application process, and this one is available for all IBTC fees and third-party fees. So in short, the IBTC one is a couple of months you pay us off, and it's interest-free. Smart Funder is an external company you can pay off over a much longer period, and they ask interest. But for IBTC, if I take 2 classes, I want a quick payment plan, I do it with IBTC. If I want to do FLP at, I don't know how much it costs, 70,000, 80,000 Rand, I might go with Smart Funder. Okay, so our CIMA open day experience, I haven't made enough of it to say how great it is for you that you are here today and that you are still here, because you're literally showing up for yourself. And also you're nice and early in the year. Sometimes in March people join and think, oh, you're not waking up late. You are ahead of the game by all accounts. There's a lot of content that's been covered today. You might want to. We've created this portal this web page where we wanted the open day to continue. So we have taken things like, if you just want to see how to study with IBTC, the study options, you can go here and you'll see there's something that says study with IBTC. So it's basically this presentation in small snippets. We've put some modularized it. There's also some new content like winning at case study, which is a video that was done by Muzi Sitebe, who's our strategic case study lecturer, I believe, management. He does it all. Other content is you can see what the FLP platform looks like. You can see what the OCR platform looks like. So you will get a link to this and you can just go and revisit this to get that open day feeling again, if you like. Okay, so if you wanted to get a quote or you wanted to contact us, I just want to show you how this works. It would be great if you can open an account, register with IBTC so that you can have an enhanced experience whenever you engage with us. Over here, you can go to the courses in CIMA and enroll or get the price list. When you are a student, you will always come here for the timetable. It's always the most up-to-date timetable. Okay, I wonder if I have class tonight. Oh, I can't remember what the lecturer said. Come to timetable. If you want to come to our speak to us sessions, you will go to support over here. If you want to ask a lecturer something, if you want to join our Tuesday and Thursday open sessions, that's on our website. Let me see what else I've got here. Let's clear the screen. info@ibtc.co.za. We're just a phone call away. I love what Lindelani says. IBTC carried me throughout my CIMA journey. we really gave him all the necessary support and motivation to keep me going when I fell off the wagon. So we believe that the number one thing that stops you from being qualified is that life gets in the way. And we've got people that keep making sure that you push your studies to the top of your priority list. And that is really everything from us today. I will now look at the chat and we can engage and we get some questions. So let me stop sharing and see if there are any questions that I can respond to.
Nikki, I think Sai
Yes.
Harilal, I think had a question.
I think I got that. Sorry, apologies for missing your question. They're flying through and we're trying to answer as best as possible. I think your question was around, do we have pre-recorded lectures for all subjects? Yes, we do. I'm not sure if you're referring to in the FLP platform, which don't have pre-recorded lectures for all content, but if you go with the PQ route, yes, and if you come to our, if you take one of our study options that include the pre-recorded lectures, then yes, you would get them for all the subjects. So I was a bit confused with your question, if you could maybe just clarify. In the chat, you're welcome to.
Yeah. Let me see, is there any other, I wonder if I can just, okay, let me just see if I can get that. Sorry,
Nikki, I
Alfao,
can take a
just-
quick
yeah.
one while you do that.
Yes.
Mopa had
Yeah.
an interesting one. He says which level or which level is equivalent to an NQF level 7. Mopa, that would be managerial case study, or well, managerial level really. So the mid-level. Your final level is equivalent to NFQ level 8. So as a CIMA associate, you'll have an NQF level 8. Yeah.
Perfect.
Then there's a
Yeah.
question come up quite a few times, which who do you pay your exam fee to? Is your exam fee included with your tuition fees? I can take that one.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
Hi, everyone. So IBTC is your tuition provider and CIMA is your examining body. So the body you would pay for your subscription fee, your registration fee, membership fees, exam fees all go directly to CIMA, and you would come to IBTC for the provision of your tuition. So all your study material, your classes or not classes, online products or whatever, you would come to IBTC. So no, exam fees are not included in IBTC's tuition package. Would anybody like to stick their hand up and ask a question out loud? I don't think we've missed any questions, but apologies if we have. So if you feel that your question hasn't been answered either sufficiently in the chat or at all in the chat, please pop your hand up now and you're more than welcome to ask it. The management case study exam, how long is it? Yeah, Nikki, I think you, oh, there we go. You are sharing half your screen.
Yes.
The case study exams, Pilisa, you want to chat about the length of them?
Yeah, so all CIMA case study exams are 3 hours. It doesn't matter which level. So at operational level, you get 3 hours and 4 tasks. At managerial level, you get 3 hours and 4 tasks, and then only at strategic level do you get 3 hours and 3 tasks, which means your tasks are a lot longer. But basically 180 minutes for every case study exam in terms of the duration of the exam itself. Yeah.
Cool. I am answering some questions still in the chats. Another one from Lucy, what level is equivalent to NQF level 8 plus 15 years in financial management accounting work experience at management level?
It doesn't change, right? So unfortunately, it will be NQF level 8. So if you get your certificate, which is right, the very first certificate, you're an NQF level 5. At operational level, you're an NQF level 6. At managerial level, NQF level 7. And then if you're a CIMA member, NQF level 8. Unfortunately, doesn't go beyond that. I think the next level is what, NQF level 9 or something. We don't have it.
Not for, yes, our occupational qualifications like this, when there's designations and things involved, it stops at 8.
Yeah.
is the highest you can get over here. Sorry, I just had some trouble setting myself up. Any other questions?
Mopa says, if I, maybe it may be answered, but it says, if I fail one subject, will I have to pass the exam fee with CIMA again? Or I guess that is, will I have to pay the exam fee? Yeah.
Yes, you will have to pay the exam fee again. So failing is expensive, because every time you attempt, you will have to pay again. So that is why we try. It's a decision about how much do I put out upfront so that I can pass first time. Nonklankla, did you want? You can welcome to unmute. We're going through the question and answer bits right now. You can unmute, and I've got Mbali, Jalelwa. Guys, we are here. You can just chat. Go for it.
Nikki, Nikki, you just touched on something that's very important and profound. You said failing is expensive. It actually is. So you can give it as many attempts on your own, and obviously it will end up costing you more at the end, or you could decide to partner with us. And obviously, I mean, our record speaks for itself. So it's very important that you consider that in terms of your decision making as well. Yeah.
Perfect.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. Thanks for chatting to me.
So sorry, I'm not able to type on the chat. What I wanted to ask, I was on the IBTC website, and I got the option of purchasing all of the modules and case study exams and everything. What I want to ask is there a separate IBTC registration fee that needs to be paid? Because I didn't see an IBTC registration fee particularly on the website as an option.
There's no IBTC registration fee ever.
Okay, so as soon as you purchase those things, you just get your material and then you get going.
Fantastic. Yes,
Thank you.
Correct.
Cool.
You're welcome. Thank
Before
you
we
for
take
unmuting.
the next question, I've just got a couple on the chat. Breakdown of the tuition fees. So on our website, you go on and you selected piecemeal. I think Nikki did cover this earlier. So there isn't a breakdown of the fees. If you decide to only take E1, you just buy E1. If you want to take E1, P1, F1, you take E1, P1, F1. But in any of our courses, we always include all the tuition material. So you don't have to like look for E1 and then go buy E1 books and then go buy additional things. You would just select the subjects that you are wanting to start with. With FLP, again, not a big breakdown of the fees. You are paying for a subscription to a platform for a period of time. In that subscription period and on that platform, you have access to everything that you need. So again, you don't need to buy anything over and above that subscription. Okay.
So can I just see here, Sharissa? So if I wanted to, on the IBTC website, I assume you can see my screen. I went to courses, CIMA, and I'm going to at operations level, and I am going to see and now I want to actually just say, I don't want this one. I don't want the online course. I don't want that. I want to come to the virtual classes. So I'm just going to select that. And I want an E class, a F class, a P class, and my case study. And I don't want that. Okay, so here you can see this would be a good combination for you to take EFP and operations case study. And you say, actually, I don't want to add all of these to my cart. I just want to start with E. And then maybe I want to, I don't know, add some exam fees or my institute fees to it. You can select which fees you want to add to it. It all ends up in your cart. And then that is
comes in with the exam fees is that we offer a service to pay your exam fees over directly to CIMA, which is why you can see that you can add it to your cart here. But it's cheaper, quicker, faster for you just to pay CIMA directly for your exam fees. We do offer this as an option for students who are trying to provide a quote to their organization so that they've got everything on one invoice or on one quote to submit to their HR manager or something like that. Or in the event that you are unable to pay in pounds, we offer it in rands. It is more expensive though. We have to charge VAT and we have to charge administrative fees to cover exchange rate fluctuations and things like that. So don't buy your exam fees through us. It is more expensive unless you absolutely have to. So it's not included in our study package, as I said earlier, but if you do need everything on one quote, then you would add it all and then you would get a very good picture of what studying an entire level of CIMA would cost you.
So this is what we said, if you join our classes, you get all the study material. There's nothing else to buy. We give you a study plan, which you get directly from your lecturer to say, before class 1, you must study this and that. You've got that online platform, and you've got somebody asked about the videos. So you can get access to those videos. You've got that South African lecturer whom you're with in class on a streaming basis, and you've got the video lectures from the UK lecturers, and then everything else you've got in here. So let me just see if I can clear this and get back to my mouse. And then this is then just where you buy it, you add it to your cart. And okay, so I just wanted to go back to, let me just see if I can go back to what FLP looks like. So you saw that you can do that at subject level, because you're now deciding to do PQ or you are busy with PQ. Just admit Robert, view subject and fees. So here I go to operations level. No, I say I don't want PQ. I actually want to see what FLP looks like. So you can say I want the 1 year. I want the 1 year at ops level. Oh, I'm just still admitting people. Oh, sorry. Don't want that, don't want that, don't want that, don't want that. Or maybe I want to see what strategic, operations 1, 2, and 3 years look like. Let's do that. That is much better. So you can see a 1 year FLP subscription. That's when you enter the room and everything is there. You're buying time. It includes your exam fee, registration fee, exemption fee, everything. You 1 year costs 60,000. If you add those 6 tokens for a case study course, 2 for operations case study class, 1 to attend, 1 in case you fail, 2 for a management case study exam prep classes, the ones we showed that are Saturday, Sunday, 2 for management, 2 for strat. Then you buy the premium one. Okay, so here you can see what FLP costs like and what the costs are like and how you can add it to your cart. Yeah, what's included, all the registration exemption, all the online study material and self-assessment for all the OTs, everything for the case study, 6 exam tokens. Okay, if I go back, sorry, then I just want to see what premium looks like. I can also very quickly, for those of you, premium, just as the same, it just adds this 6 tokens to IBTC exam prep classes. I can show you, let me show you 2 very interesting things. Don't go anywhere. Clear all drawings. Okay, mouse. Oh, I see I've got a question there. Let me just quickly do this. Okay, not to confuse anybody. FLP. I'm going to show you what the FLP platform looks like. Okay, so this is the FLP platform. The dashboard is neither here, here nor there. The dashboard just shows you how far you are, how you're progressing. This is quite nice. You can say, I want to do 10 topics a week, then you will be finished ready for your case study exam in April. I want to do 13 topics a week, you'll be ready by 20 March. But nonetheless, so this is, sorry. Okay, anyway, what I wanted to show you really, sorry, I'm not very good at this. This is where your OT content lies. This is the overview. And this is OT, and this is case study. Okay, so you want to go through your OT. So I'm just going to click on here. This is where you can see your OTs lie. You see this is E is blue, P is orange, and F is green. You can see that I've got access to the whole room. Here's my management stuff. Here's my operations stuff, but I entered at strategic level, but I can still see everything that's there for operations and management. My first job is to start completing E. So when I click continue learning, I actually go to this section over here. This is where all the content lies. This is just an overview page. This is where the content lies. Okay, so I'm going to go to learning. I go here, my mouse. And now I start studying and answering questions and studying and answering questions and studying. But there are no videos. It's just, so this is how you study, what it looks like. Study, next. Study, answering some questions, study, next. Just like going through your textbook, okay? And yeah, I'm answering some questions. When you've completed this, you will be done with your OTs. When you've completed all of that, then you move over to your exam section. So you can see what this platform looks like and all the content that you have to cover. This is FLP platform, okay? I'm good now. Think about something completely different. You've now signed up with, you're going to the PQ route. You've signed up with IBTC for E2 and P2, and you are coming to our virtual classes. Now, what we said with that virtual classes and with Home Study Plus and with our online course, with any study method with IBTC, we also give you access to the video lectures from BPP. And this is what that looks like. Okay, so you get access to, this is just a welcome page. My learning, you are, I'm signed up for everything. Here is E1, and here is this, everything is broken down into 6 steps. Step 1, step 2, I'll show you what a step looks like. In here, you always have something to study and a video to watch. Something to study and a video to watch. Let me see. There's always question practice. Here are all the videos, and this is all the question practice, assessment questions. Study, question practice, study, question practice, study, question practice. The key thing about CIMA is that you must study and do question practice. Is question practice. Don't underestimate question practice. And then this is what the exam platform looks like. No, I'm lying. This is your, sorry, your video. Okay, so you can see this is a, sorry, I'm working with quite a small screen. I can't see this is our video, but here we go. So we're going to just show you what these recorded videos look like. You probably cannot hear. There's somebody's talking and they're annotating, and they, see if I can get to a.
Cody's just messaged, I get a feeling that FLP is not for people who aren't really good with self-study. I would tend to agree with that. With FLP, you have to be very committed to going onto the platform virtually daily to make the most of your subscription period. So I know this is such a big question at the moment for people between FLP and the traditional route, and it's new and there's a lot of pressure out there and you're hearing all sorts of information. FLP is amazing, and genuinely we really do have excellent pass rates on FLP, but we also have excellent pass rates on the PQ route. Either way, you are preparing for the same content and the same case study in the end. So it is a big decision for a lot of you to make, and you really need to think very carefully about the pros and cons between or what's important to you. FLP is costly, but yes, if you are very dedicated, if you don't have any commitments, the thing is that you're paying for a subscription period, so, and it's a lot of money. And so for me personally, I don't know what my next year is going to look like. I can't. Sorry, Nikki, I feel like I've just derailed your
No, you go.
Your
I'm just going to run this in the background.
Yes. So I don't know what my next year is going to look like exactly. So for me to commit 70,000 Rand to a 1-year subscription period is really risky for me. I don't know that I will make the most out of that at 70,000 Rand for the next year. Some of you are not in that same situation. It's very predictable. You know you can commit for the next year of your study to going online virtually every day, to doing your sessions, to working through the material, and to writing your 2 or 3 case study papers in the next year, in which case FLP is a good option and it does make a lot of financial sense. It's 70,000 Rand, it's 1 year of your life. Give it a go and get it over and done with. If, however, you are not in that situation, don't go for FLP because you are limited to that 1 year subscription. Otherwise, then you don't even get through one case study and then you've wasted 70,000 Rand. Whereas if you take the PQ route and you go piecemeal, slow and steady also wins the race. So you take one subject at a time, you move through it at a pace that is comfortable for you. You're in classes or you're on our online course, which does require more self-study than classes, but it is still a bit more. There are set dates for assignments and there are things, and obviously you also have your advisor phoning and checking in on you. So you have that accountability. So then take one subject at a time, move through it, pass it, and move on to the next one. So it depends what time you have available to you, what level of commitment you're willing to give at the moment, what your personal life is like, what your career is like at the moment, what your job is like at the moment. And you need to carefully consider all the elements involved before you decide between FLP and PQ. So there isn't a right way or a wrong way. It's very much a personal choice at this point in time.
Perfect.
Solema and then Balibus, hands up.
Yeah.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for this platform. My question is case study based. So I'm on the operational level, right? So I'm left to write P1 and F1. So I went to the CIMA website to see exam dates, because I know with case studies it's not like OTs where you choose your own date. But I got kind of confused because there were like lots of dates given there. There's pre-sin, there's that. So I don't understand those dates. If you could please explain those. And another thing, I'm self-studying. So I would also, but when it's time for me to write my case study, I want to write it in May. So if I want to do it through you guys. So if you can explain which dates, if I want to write in May, when would be the right time for me to join IBTC for case studies? I don't know if my question makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, I'll explain this part in terms of the exam dates. There's obviously the most important thing to look at is when the exams really are, when the exam date is. So you can see this is also in a grid ops, man and strat. Typically operations case study is in the second week of the month. The next week is management case study. The next week is strategic case study. So you will be looking at, you said you're doing operations case study. So yours will be 8 to 10 February. Are you looking at May, I believe? Sorry, you see 10 to 12 May. So important date for you to know is by when you must enter for that exam. So it will be the 25th of April. And when your pre-scene is available. So you actually get the pre-scene and you can see, oh, 1 year we had a pre-scene about fast fashion. So it was about, it looked a little bit like Zara. It was how usually, and it was a little bit of my background. I used to work in that industry, and you would have seasonal designs and the buying patterns and things like that. And the fast fashion then upended that cart. And I thought, that's very fascinating. I want to write on this pre-scene, on this case study. And then you can look at the case study and you can still enter for the exam. Then, so that's just how the dates work. Then you know your exam dates and when you will get your results. In terms of when to, Sharissa, can you talk us through that? I just want to get through to this. Shall I get here?
I also just want to talk about if you have the luxury of kind of choosing your exam sitting at the moment. We only have 2 pre-scenes in the year. So they use one pre-scene twice. So if there's any, which just to bank it, if you don't pass the first one, then you would want your rewrite to be on the same pre-scene. So I would plan it always, because just in case, you never know exactly what's going to happen. Maybe you that poor person who got 88 in Pilisa's class and you're the 1 out of 15 students that didn't make it through, then you would want to write the pre-scene on, you would want to write your next case study exam, your rewrite on that same pre-scene. So the pre-scenes that are the same are May and August, and again, November, February. So you would plan to write a May case study or a November case study, ideally, would be your best bet, unless you are, there is always, you are more than likely going to pass first time, but just in case you are concerned about it, right, think about planning for a May case study or a November case study. Okay.
Perfect. So this was just to say that, for example, if the case study was about a fast fashion, about Zara, and then you study that whole case study for November, then you don't have to go and read that, you don't get something new or a new industry to go and research or study for February. So that was just this H2O is, imagine it was in May, it's a water bottling company. It's the same water bottling company. You don't get new material issued to you. The questions you're facing in this exams will just be different.
Nikki, just to add on to that,
yeah?
I think if you scroll down a little bit, I'm sure CIMA has it, because sometimes students battle to understand which pre-scene will be used in which exam. I think right at the bottom of that window there should be, they normally provide a link to that particular pre-scene or a pre-scene to that setting.
Sorry, I also thought that
know.
I'm still sharing, and I was explaining something, but on a different screen. It's quite tricky with one. Have I scrolled down far enough?
No, I think they've taken it off. Okay, no, it's fine.
Sorry, I did something else. Where am I? I'm just going to quickly do this. Sorry, guys. I am now sharing my whole screen, am I not? Oh, I did this. I said November and February is the same, and imagine this is on Zara. And I said May and August is the same, and imagine this is on a water bottling company. So this was just to try and explain what Charissa was saying. Then just to get back to what you were saying, you wanted me to scroll down.
I have
Nikki,
yeah.
Can I show it on my end quickly?
Yes, you go.
Okay, cool.
And while you're doing that, Pilisa, I have a question for you. What kind of format are the case study exams in? The question here is case study exams, are they in a form of strategic report? No, so you can take that as well.
So if you could just make me a co-host, I can share that view quickly with the guys. But your case study exams are in basic report writing, right? Most of it will be responding to an email. It's like you would converse with your boss, right? It tends to take a longer format, so it's almost like you need to make sure that your answers are in paragraphs as opposed to single word answers. So your OTs is where you get examined, or really the technicalities. Can you calculate the NPV? Can you calculate the payback period? At strategic level, it's about, can you comment on what that NPV means, or what that payback period means? Is it acceptable? Should we go ahead with the project or not? So that's basically the difference in the format between the two exams, because at case study, the assumption is that you've covered your OTs as well. So you're already past the nitty-gritties, and now you can provide business guidance and reference to a report or to a table or a dashboard or whatever is presented to you. Yeah.
And then while you're talking about that, you just want to explain, there was a question around pass marks. Case studies never been at 70%, just by the way. It's always that you've needed to achieve 80 out of a total of 150. But Pilisa, maybe you can just explain how that works.
Yeah, so it's a bit tricky.
Sorry, Pilisa, before we go there, I just brought on the screen an example of a task. So is this right? You will, in your case study, you get 4 tasks. This is your one task. It says, you've received the following email.
Yes.
Hi, I forwarded an email. Can you please identify the key issues here and explain how the proposed agreement will enhance the value chain? So it's literally, all 4 tasks will be in this format. I think it's very helpful to see this. Now, CIMA helps. Why business meets finance? It's very typical in a business situation that somebody will send you this email and they want to see, can you apply what you've learned in EP and F to this task? Now you're going to respond to this, you're going to type it out, and you're going to submit it, and there's your answer. Now, the problem is, and what you learn in the case study virtual classes is how to frame that response to please the examiners, how not to write too much, how not to write too little, what are they looking for, how do you draw on the Mintzberg model and the Pestel model and this model, how do you bring it into your answers? So one of my favorite examples is we trained the CIMA vice president of South Africa. He needed the qualification to hold that position, and he came to us for tuition. And he said when he got into that class, when he got into the exam, he froze completely and he didn't know what to do. And then he remembered the formula the lecturer wrote on the board in class. And it helped him to then frame this question and answer this, do this tasks, and then he passed first time. So you get 4 tasks like this. So the next task might be, it's now 2 weeks later, and now there's a bulk resignation, or there's a this or that, and then you answer. Okay, so I just wanted to share that. Pilisa, you want to answer Shreya's question next?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just go. So basically, and I'll explain this in the most simplest ways. As a student, you're writing an exam that all you need to be concerned about contains 100 marks, and to pass, you need to get an average of about 60%, right? But that's basically it. However, CIMA does it in a different way. In other words, they basically have 5 variants for every sitting, and those variants differ in terms of level of difficulty, right? So what they do is then they take all these variants, they go through a grading process, and they kind of average them all out at 150 scores, right? And then what you get out at the end of the day is you're going to get a score which needs to be a minimum of 80 out of the 150 for you to pass. So if you were to do that, then you'd say more or less 80 out of 150, it works out to about 53%, but you don't really need to concern yourself with that. Every task you get is marked out of 25 and contains 25 marks. Your script is out of 100 marks, right? And I think just to show that stuff a bit earlier that I spoke about, one of the platforms that you can utilize that CIMA provides for free to students is basically this CIMA or CJMA Study Hub. To answer Xolelo's questions, because you're quite close to an exam, Xolelo, you'd have to go in and say, I'm just moving fast here, but say, I'm doing an operational case study. Then you click on the operational case study. So here you can say, I want to sit in Feb 23 or May 23. We all know that the May 23 pre-scene is not out. So if you click on there, it will say, well, for that sitting, the pre-scene will only be available on the 24th of March. So therefore, you can just use the current pre-scene to get a sense of what the exam will look like. If you're sitting in February, to the point you asked, it'll tell you what the dates are, but it'll tell you the pre-scene specific to that exam. So you know exactly what I'm going to write on. And then you'll see some past exam material. If you want to look at a previous sitting, for example, you can take anyone. We can take November 20 for that matter. You can see the pre-scene for that exam, the post-exam material for that exam, and so forth, which is, I think, as materials specifically for Xolelo, that will be very useful for you. And that's on your CIMA Study Hub, which is a free resource, yeah?
Just answering Xolelo's question, just about when you are planning to write, and I see that you are struggling with your actual study plan. So you've got still P1 and F1 to do, and you're trying to write the case study in May. I would advise that you finish P1 and F1 by latest end of March, maybe very early week of April, because you need 6 weeks to prepare for your case study exam. So you would want to make sure that you're finished with any OTs at least 6 weeks before the case study exam. And then because it's fantastic, actually, because you will have just finished 2 of the OT papers, you won't actually need so much recapping of the P1 and the F1 syllabus. So 5 to 6 weeks is actually fine for you to prepare for your OT paper. So latest to sign up for case study would be April, first week in April.
To sign up for May case study.
Sign up for the May case study.
But she still has to do P1 and F1.
You've got
What's the plan for P1 and
F1, you've got 2 months, 10 days to finish that. I don't know where you are in your P1 and F1 studies, so that may be tight if you've only just started, or if you started a while ago and it was always your plan to write P1 and F1 in January, February, or March, then you are fine and you're on track. Cool. Mbali,
can we make Mbali? Yes.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Nikki, I just need clarity here. You mentioned that for CIMA members, they start at management case study. And when I look at the management level, I see that we have management case study and managerial gateway. So which one is it where typically a CIMA member would start? Is it a case study or is it a gateway?
You will, are you on the IBTC website or are you on CIMA website?
IBTC website.
Okay, so it depends on which, if I understand correctly, which product you want to buy. So my recommendation is that you buy the gateway product, because in the gateway product, you will then have your EP and F material, and we can guide you how to prep properly for it. What was the other option? The other option was just managerial case study.
Case study, yeah.
So if you're thinking, for instance, no, I already have the EP and F book and I have already studied it and I'm very sure that I don't want to buy your gateway product, you can also just buy the virtual classes for case study.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, but at the end of the day, we're preparing for a case study.
At the end of the day, we're preparing for a case study.
The CIMA members.
Yes, if you were on the CIMA website and you are registering with CIMA, you have to select gateway because you are a gateway student.
Yeah.
So you're a gateway student. But when you come to IBTC, you can choose. Do I want to not study? Do I want to study? Do I want to come to classes? Do I want your gateway product? Do I not want your gateway product? You can approach it any way you want to, but you're still a gateway student.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
Now. Yes,
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Good question.
Our recommendation always for anybody who has been exempt all the way through to a case study is to always take that gateway product, because it comes with Lisa's nodding. He's like, he knows, because when he gets students who are exempted all the way through and they haven't done their OT prep properly, and that's what causes you to really struggle with the case study. So because you need to make sure that you're at the same level as somebody who has already written P2 and F2 papers. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Are there any other hands?
Yes.
Mopa.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So for me, honestly, I really feel intimidated. The reason because is I haven't studied for over 10 years and I only have matric, but the desire is to go back to school, enroll, and get that certificate and better my life. So what advice would you give me for someone like me? I feel like well, the 70% pass mark is a bit steep and intimidating for me. Maybe it's because I haven't studied for so long. And also the case study exams, I feel like they are more difficult. So at this stage, I'm not sure if this CIMA route is for me, or if I can just do normal, like maybe go to a university, because the pass rate there is like 50% or so. But I am interested in this course and I think it's really what I want to do, but I feel scared even before I start.
Sure, there's about 100 things I want to say right now. I understand where you are coming from. I think fear is a good thing. It means you're at the start of something really great. You did the right thing already to ask for help. What do they say? Plan, do, ask for help. You've planned your future. You are here right now. You're doing this and you're asking for help. And we are totally here to help you. I think it's very important that you do the right qualification for your career. You have a very long life ahead of you. Don't settle. Sharissa can talk about the 70%. It's not as daunting as it sounds. It is by design. They want to make sure that all the content is covered. There's stuff, Sharissa will explain it very well, but there's stuff built in which makes the 70% actually not that as daunting as it sounds. And I always think for myself, when I'm very daunted by the studies, or when I went to university, I thought, oh man, am I even good enough for this? I thought millions of people have done it before you. It's not impossible. So I'm totally there to personally, we will support you. We will help you. Sharissa, want to explain the 70%?
Yes.
Or what did you want to say?
No shame, Zolelo missed half of our response earlier, so I was just about to type back in a second. So the 70% pass rate, so when you are starting out with CIMA, just first of all, don't even think about the case study exams, because as per Nikki's picture, if you are at matric, or if you only have a matric, you would then start at certificate level. It is a fantastic qualification. It is a really good basis to the rest of the CIMA syllabus. So don't worry about case study. You only write case studies after you've written 7 other CIMA exams. So don't stress about case study just yet. Your first goal would be to get through the certificate in business accounting. You start off, so the 70% pass rate is to ensure that you cover the whole syllabus, so there's no spotting, so that how they used to do it is there was, you wrote a 3-hour exam, and if one question was on like NPV or something like that, you could easily lose 45 marks because you didn't understand one section. Whereas what they've done now is you have, it's 90 minutes or it's an hour. I can't actually remember the length of the exam.
90 minutes.
90 minutes, yeah.
No, it's certificate level. Is it also 90 minutes? 90 minutes, 60 questions is how I think it goes. And they then ask you 60 questions across the whole syllabus. So if
you have to cover the whole syllabus.
You have to cover the whole syllabus. So if there's one question or one section, small section that you don't know, there will only be 2 or 3 questions on it. So don't let that stress you out. It's actually, I find, a much better way of examining, and it doesn't give so much emphasis to one particular area of the textbook that you are going.
They can't catch you out with something that you didn't understand, because the examiners are forced to examine the whole syllabus. So they can only ask you a few questionnaires, they can't go into too much depth. They can't just focus on one area that you didn't understand. So it's actually
the most difficult area in the whole book. They won't do that. They will ask you 2 or 3 questions on each section. So for instance, you've got 15 chapters and there's 60 questions. You'll only be asked 4 questions per chapter. It is like a very simplistic way of looking at it. So the content is, I find, quite interesting. So it is some of it's quite interesting, some of it is a bit tricky. For the fundamentals of ethics, corporate governance, and business law, which is a highly
theoretical subject. I understand.
Technical, yes. No, not technical, the other one. Yeah, it's a lot of reading and understanding how corporate governance works, how business law affects things, and fundamentals of ethics, because that's an important theme throughout the whole CIMA syllabus. It's quite a nice, easy subject to work through, because you just read through it, make sure you understand it, answer some questions on it, and then you pass.
I call it the confidence builder. Confidence builder. If you can study old school, old style, you're totally going to wax it. Later on with CIMA, it's more about how you think about things, but you grow into that. So BA1 or BA4 are good ones to start with. What else is there?
Then you move into the fundamentals of business economics, which is where it starts getting a bit technical. And these BA1, BA2, BA3 is where I would suggest that you definitely come to class for, especially as it's your first, these will be your first serious CIMA exams. And then it is all about, and with CIMA, I'm very much it is just commit. It is put in the time, put in the effort, and you will get through it. It's not incredibly difficult concepts to understand that is like, doing a CFA or becoming an actuary where you need to be super, super, super smart to understand it. It's not that. It is literally the textbooks that you get are easier to work through. They are, they've been developed with kind of everyday students in mind. So they're easy to read, they're easy to understand. And then with the support of your tuition provider, you will then be able to understand any tricky areas that you're struggling with. So
it's also if you have a lot of experience and you haven't studied for a while, you sometimes benefit from that, because a lot of it is where business meets finance. So if you've been in business with your matric, but you've been in business for a long time, a lot of that will intuitively come to you because you've had so much business exposure.
Yeah, I think just to close on my end, I'm not gonna, I think the guys have covered quite a lot, but I'd say, to your comparison, you're thinking traditional university versus a professional qualification. I think a professional qualification in terms of where you are is probably the best qualification to go for. One, from a practical point of view, in terms of life balance with family, kids, I don't know where you are, but also in terms of just, practicality. I mean, you're not going to be traveling to campus or staying on campus for 4 years for a qualification. That's gonna limit you in terms of your opportunities. Whereas this is a global qualification that allows you to then have more options, if you want to call it that. So
yeah,
I'd say consider all those factors as well. From a lecturer's point of view, we've seen all sorts of people in this qualification, and a lot of them actually have gone through and passed the subject. If you follow and stick to what we say you do and guide you, you don't need to worry about I'm not good enough or I'm not ready or can't cope. So don't worry about that.
Cool.
perfect. Who was next? I don't know. I've got Portia, Shelley, and Siyabonga. Who fingers on the buttons. Portia, you first.
Hi, morning guys.
Hi, morning.
My question is just around, I've applied for a bursary through my company, and I'm expecting to get an answer at the end of Jan, mid-Feb. I think I've applied through the company for E1 to F1. I have a national diploma in cost and management accounting at the old CPUT or University of Technology, Cape Peninsula. I also have 15 years experience. I currently work in a middle management role as a financial controller. So I think my question is around, because obviously I need to go back to the business to say exactly what it is I need funding for. So my first question is, more or less, what level do you think I'll start at? I am leaning towards PQ over FLP, because I think I just want, like the reference you made to more tools in your tool belt. I think that is what I'm going for. So what level do you think I'll start at? And then also, if I'm applying for funding, because obviously I first need the funding before I can register and see what exemptions I'm going to get. So just like a high level, more or less. And then also, if I'm applying for funding, you said that you're probably going to do 2 subjects a year. Is it better for me just apply for funding for 3 subjects per year, or what do you suggest?
From a funding or a bursary perspective, I would typically apply for a level a year, or if you've done EP and if it's fine. So what you do is what you buy from us is different to what you start studying with. So you can say, my company's paid for EP and for the whole operations level, for EPF and case study or not case study, but I want to start with P1, or I want to come to classes for E1 and P1. And that is just what we activate so long, and the rest is just lying there. That makes sense.
It does, but then my other question is, generally companies expect you obviously to give them results at the end of the year to show that you've successfully passed whatever they have paid for.
Yes, so you'll start with, say, 2 subjects in semester 1. And then when you get your feedback, you give your feedback. When you get your results, you give that to your company and you say, my plan for the next 6 months is to do the other 2 subjects. And when you get your results, you send it to the company. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but the other thing I wanted to say was we cannot apply for exemptions before your registration fee hasn't been paid. So my expectation is that you would ask for a certain amount of money that would cover a level, if you like. Then you would pay it to us. We will pay your registration fee. We will help you apply for exemptions. And once we know what your exemptions are, we can then advise what you can do with that money.
Okay. And based
So
on
I
your
don't think it
experience-
matters if you apply for E1, P1, F1. In the end, you're going to do E2, P2 and be exempted from F2. It doesn't really matter. You can then afterwards say, okay, I then got these exemptions, as long as you just keep them informed.
Okay, I hear you. And then just based on your experience, I understand it's not we. Do you think are worth it based on my experience and studies, or what do you
With
think I'll
that,
get exemptions
you
for?
can either apply for exemptions based on your 15 years experience, which might put you at operational case study entry. Then you have to go through EP and F anyway. Sharissa, what did you think? You seem perplexed.
No.
Or you can,
You have to,
or you can use your qualification.
yeah, for this one, you're going to have to get in touch with the exemptions department at CIMA. Which you can do through us.
Which we can do for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they go through your work history in quite a lot of detail, and then they'll make the decision based on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Perfect. So you can send us your CV if you want to apply with exemptions and your qualifications, everything to info@IBTC, and we can look at it over the weekend or on Monday.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
see how we can assist you.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. And then I don't know if Shelley or Siyabonga is next, but whoever's Shelley, you're up next.
Hi there. So
Hi.
similar to Portia, I also hold the old diploma at National Diploma in Cost Management Accounting, but I mean, started studying in 2000. And I'm sitting with over 20 years as well. The thing is, when you get to, I mean, I'm 40 plus, you know, so confidence does become a thing because you've been working in this field for so long, you know what you know, but you're not advancing in your career. It's almost like you've reached a glass ceiling. How does one then decide that CIMA is the correct way to go? I work as a financial accountant, but I fulfill the role of a financial manager, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, you look at the financial aspect, but you also then have to look at the forecasting and budgeting because there is no financial manager in that role. And in lieu of the financial manager, that's me. So I would like to advance in my career, but would CIMA be the correct way to go? Mostly I work in travel, but I've also worked in manufacturing and other institutions. So I mean, I've got a mixed bag, and it's like, where does one go?
I think Pilisa can answer that, but I wanted to say that I wish I had a way to just easily say to you, yes, this is a perfect match for you. And it's truly not because I want to sell it to you. Why, and maybe the answer is, why is CIMA our flagship product? And we come from the assumption that you believe in our integrity and my battery might, Sharissa, you on standby?
Yes.
No idea why. Didn't plug in. Nonetheless, it is because where business and finance meet. I think I am much older. I have a concept of how long we must still live and work, and what the benefit of a very good qualification means for such a long period. We might still work until 65 or 75 or 80, and you've got so much benefit to be had from picking the right qualification now. And it is not the short term about where you are now, but the world is going to open up with a truly global qualification. And with so much experience, you will feel that experience seeping into your studies. It is going to help you so much because this is the one qualification that is not an academic qualification. It is a work-based qualification. It helps you. I've got this lovely story, which I won't share now because it is so long, but about a student who's studying, reading something in the book, or going to the company saying, I think we can do our pricing differently, then making copies from his textbook. And now that whole organization, which we all know, is doing their costing differently. We've got people who loved P2 and P3 so much, they're now doing the costing at Woolworths. And he says to us, if the price of cut fruit doesn't come down, it's on me, Nikki. And there is just the whole world opens up when you're doing a global professional qualification. It must be global, it must be professional, not academic and not local.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, I think Nikki, you said I must comment on it, but I don't know what else to say on top of that because I think you've said it all.
Yes, I know.
But just to touch on it, Shelley, I think you have nothing to really be concerned about from this point of view. This qualification allows you the flexibility to work and study. I think the best part is Nikki, exactly what she explained, is that you can actually take what you're learning in the book and then put it into practice the next day. So those are, I think, are the practicalities. Just like you, I had similar experiences. I made a decision early on to do a diploma through a Technicon, and I needed now to migrate into. My aspiration was always to either go CIMA or SAICA. I was indifferent really, but I find management accounting more exciting. So I did a diploma, did a BTEC, then struggled. Then I decided, you know what, I need to pivot both career-wise and academic-wise. Then I also did the CIMA qualification. Not only did it help me from a work point of view, but then it also allows me to again pursue my academic life even further. Right. So I think Nikki has summed it up quite nicely. You can do ACA if you strictly want to stick with reporting or SAICA if you really want to be a finance manager and that's really what you want to think about. But if you want to play multiple roles within the business, it could be production head, manufacturing head, logistics, supply chain. I think CIMA qualification gives you that flexibility. If you want to go into people, strategy, those are then the avenues, just opens up a lot more avenues as opposed to purely being an expert in international accounting standard and IFRS, basically. Yeah.
Okay, that helps. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pilisa. Okay, Shelley, is that all your questions answered?
It does help. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, Siyabonga, you've also got your hand up. Siyabonga, do you still have a question for? Oh, there we go. Yes. I can see you just taking yourself off mute. If you're struggling with your sound, you can pop it in the chat. Okay, I'll wait for you to sort out your sound or write your question in the chat. We have a question here, Nompumelelo, do you get to the same level with SAICA with CIMA?
You know, I was actually going to add that onto the point to Shelley, but I think it came up. So there isn't really any difference between being a CA and a CIMA member. In actual fact, most roles, if you go onto LinkedIn or go into a job website and look at finance role, they'll either say CIMA/SAICA or CA, especially for senior roles. This is purely because the expected level of skill is pretty similar. With CIMA, then obviously you just have a chance in terms of opportunities outside of South Africa. And what's even better is that we got CAs that want